Episode of The Range, we sit down with Terence Daniels, competitive golfer, creator, and founder of the Cactus Club. Terence shares his journey from growing up in Bermuda and playing Division I golf at Grand Canyon University to building a unique golf community in Arizona that lives outside the walls of traditional country clubs. Terence also gets candid about the challenges of building a solo creator business, how he measures success, and what the evolution of the sport means for local golf culture. While it's not covered in the episode, it's worth noting that Terence recently launched Impact Golf Studios, a content platform delivering tactics, trends, and tools for golf brands and operators. It's where his deep experience in golf tech, player development, and community building comes together, helping the golf industry stay current, strategic, and connected. Let's jump into the episode. Welcome to The Range, the podcast where we explore the intersection of passion and business in the world of golf. I'm your host, Ari Ratner, and each episode will dive into the stories of the innovators, entrepreneurs, and trailblazers who are transforming the game we love into thriving businesses. Whether you're a golf enthusiast, an inspiring entrepreneur, or just curious about the business behind the sport, you're in the right place. So grab your clubs and join us on The Range as we tee off into the world of golf entrepreneurship. Back to The Range. Super excited to have Terence Daniels on as the second guest in season 2. I came across Terence on Twitter or X, and he was an instant follow for me. Knows the sport and game well, and is building something really interesting out in Arizona. So Terence, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here, and happy to share my story with the followers.
Awesome. Well, before we jump into the community that you're building, let's give the audience a sense of your connection to golf, when you picked up the sticks, how long you've been playing, and just your overall connection to the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story, I started playing when I was about 11, I think. I can't quite remember, but 11 or 12. My uncle was a local pro at a club. No one in my family really played golf, so easy way for my parents to kind of get rid of us for a Saturday morning at his clinic. So they would drop us off, and we would basically stay at the golf course all day on Saturdays during golf season. And then from there, I just fell in love with it. Just like a lot of people, started playing junior golf in tournaments, whereas my brothers, they kind of stopped, continued playing like soccer, other sports. I kind of was hooked right away. So started playing in tournaments, got really good really fast, and then decided that I wanted to play college golf. That was kind of my dream at the time, and moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, lived with my grandmother who lives in Scottsdale, and finished out my high school years in Scottsdale, and then ended up getting a golf scholarship to Grand Canyon University here in Phoenix. Had a pretty good career there, did the mini tour thing for a few years after that, and then from there, really been working inside of the golf industry at different companies such as Trackman, CoachNow, a lot of them on the more technical side software. But since I was 11, hooked on the game and really been a part of it. It's been a big part of my life kind of ever since.
And I think the two things that I'd love to touch on in your past is one, where you were born and where you grew up prior to moving to Arizona. And then also just touch on your career at Grand Canyon and just to help give the audience a sense of not just your connection, but how strong of a golfer you are.
Yeah, so Grand Canyon obviously had a pretty good high school career, but going to college golf is another step. Our team was pretty good. We had, I think, 3 returning All-Americans my freshman year, so a lot of competition. So that really helped my development, whereas I'm playing against better players every day in practice and qualifying to travel to tournaments. So that really helped me. So I got really good really fast by my sophomore year. I won our conference championship. By my junior year, I was kind of All-American honorable mention, and by my senior year, I was back-to-back conference player of the year. Um, and I had a pretty good career. Loved that I was able to stay in Arizona and also travel kind of all over the West Coast, really all over the country playing college golf.
Yeah. That's awesome. And just to give the audience a sense, where are you from originally?
Yeah, so born and raised in tiny island of Bermuda. If most people don't know, Bermuda is about 500 miles east of like South Carolina, really tiny island. But yeah, learned to grow up there, loved it. Definitely a different climate than Phoenix, Arizona, but yeah, I still love getting back there. I mean, who doesn't love the island life? But yeah, Phoenix.
Yeah. And just out of curiosity, how are the golf courses in Bermuda?
Definitely more on kind of the resort style. I mean, if you can imagine lots of tourists, so people just want to come and not necessarily grind over a tough round. I mean, they're more interested in the views. I mean, every golf course you pretty much have ocean views, lots of undulation. So yeah, most of the course are kind of designed to enhance your kind of landscape with those ocean views and the rolling hills.
That's awesome. As we transition the conversation to more of the professional side of things, as you mentioned, you got into after school, you got into golf through more of the tech side of things. Talk a little bit about what your responsibilities were, whether at Trackman or any of the other companies, and then how that started to either give you the idea or position yourself to be a community builder in the space.
Yeah, so yeah, my titles at a lot of the companies I work with are kind of customer support or account management. So I'm kind of really the face of these companies, talking to customers, learning how they use the product and how these companies and the product could help them either their personal or rather be somewhere in the golf industry. Yeah, so what that got me thinking is I'm talking to a lot of these individuals who are diehard golfers and finding out that there is a lack of community in the golf kind of industry. We either have a lot of players who are part of a club, whether it be private or public, but then there's a huge gap of players that maybe aren't a part of a club. Where do these players kind of get their information? How do they communicate with one another? I mean, these players outnumber the country club players. I mean, if I had to guess, maybe 10 to 1. So there's a lot more of these guys, girls, than there are of the country club players. So I got to thinking, how do these people communicate? How can we kind of bundle these people together that are being missed by a lot of other communities that are being built in different ways or in the golf industry? So yeah, that's kind of where I started. I probably got the idea maybe like 2 years ago, honestly. And from there, I've just been kind of thinking, how can I apply this and build something that people are kind of drawn to naturally?
Yeah, and so I think it'd be helpful to provide just a bit more depth about the Cactus Club, what type of community you are building, and if you think about servicing a community through different pillars, what are those for the Cactus Club, and how do you see it evolving in the future, if at all?
Right. Yeah. So the last 6 months, it's I've been writing a weekly newsletter. So this has been something quick that readers can read in maybe 5 to 7 minutes, and it's an article on something that I find valuable that's either going on in Arizona, whether it be tips, course reviews, interviews with members or industry leaders kind of in this Arizona region. So right now it's been kind of a weekly update of that. Eventually, I want to scale that into a member events where we can meet and play, compete, also be doing kind of contests, a lot of it around kind of the majors. I mean, I feel like just like this weekend, everyone's all riled up due to the US Open. It's a great way to kind of get everyone either together or engaging during that a week like that because I feel like it's I don't know a top 5 week of the year as far as the golf
Yeah,
industry. So
yeah.
just that way, really giving place for, like I said, these golfers to get together, do stuff that we're all interested in. And then on the flip side, I really want to help a lot of these small golf brands and businesses, especially here in Arizona. There's a lot of them who are positioned to kind of help grow and help sustain the growth of the game. So I
Hmm.
want to kind of be an outlet to a lot of these brands and companies, golf facilities that to help them kind of communicate and engage with this local community here because just here in Phoenix, Scottsdale area, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of golfers
Yeah.
and over hundreds of courses just in this kind of region. So that's where I'm kind of starting to kind of tap into that. And so far, there's been, yeah, a lot of good feedback from people like yourself and people that kind of live in the Arizona location.
Yeah, so how are you going about growing the community, right? Because I think that's, one, it takes a lot to push out content on a weekly basis. But as you think about community growth or community building, I imagine you're always looking for more subscribers or readers. How are you going about finding them, getting in front of them, and then ultimately converting them into subscribers?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, a lot of it's organic, word of mouth. I think I do have an advantage because I've lived in this area for over 20 years, worked in the golf industry for a long time, so I have a pretty extensive network of kind of these golfers who are really my target market. So a lot of it's word of mouth. I mean, when I go out and meet people, whether it be at a golf event or whatever, I just ask them questions, try to figure out what they're missing, stuff that they would want to see. And then, yeah, a lot of it's been organic referrals, and just meeting people and posting content online on my socials. I mean, same way I kind of met you. I've met a lot of kind of people who are interested who just want to learn more, or people who just want to get better at golf and they see some of the tips that I post because that is kind of a part of it. I mean, people who play this game, I mean, most people would say it's a lifelong grind. Like they're always trying to get better from when they start till when they finish. So a part of it is tips and kind of instruction on kind of simple, easy ways to improve your game because if we're going to be playing it for a lifetime, I mean, most of us don't want to suck.
I think that's a fair statement. It's
Right.
interesting because the idea that tips and tricks can be helpful to anyone, including someone with a 30 handicap or someone with a 5 handicap, right? And so, I imagine in Arizona, similar to most areas, but certainly with the kind of all year round golfing season, you do have a variety of subscribers with different handicaps. How do you go about servicing those that have a very high handicap to those that have a very low handicap? And ultimately they're looking for the same thing, and it's just improvement in their game.
Right. Good question. So I would say when I first started this, my main focus or the people that I wanted to target were kind of people like myself. I would say low handicappers, people who are maybe signing up for tournaments, maybe not every weekend, but the people who kind of want to compete or are to a level where they feel like they want to compete. That would
Hmm.
I would say is my core because I feel like those are the players who are going to play for their whole life. I mean, they're the ones who are going to be playing every week, signing up for, I don't know, their men's club event every year type of deal. What I found that I'm getting a lot of people that one are a 20 handicap and they want to learn uh, better tips. So these people are also
Mm.
getting kind of drawn into this bucket. Another one is kind of snowbird. So in Arizona, there's a lot of people who only
Mm.
live here half of the year. Well, I found out that like a lot of my subscribers are people who actually only live here for half of the year, but when they're here, they want to find out about maybe some hidden gem courses that they didn't play their last visit or whatever it may be. Even though my core audience, I would say, is the 8 handicap who plays once or twice a week, it really kind of has been drawn to some other different kind of personas of golfers who are also enjoying it. So that's been kind of cool to realize that even though I'm kind of targeting this one type of golfer, I mean, it's an enjoyable read and people are kind of drawn to it from all walks, whether it be beginners or scratch players.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting, targeting the better golfer. I think inherently you're always going to have a beginner golfer or someone with a higher handicap aspire to become that, you know, 8 handicap or even less. So servicing the higher end, or not higher end, but the stronger golfer is still going to, I think, be able to speak to, golfers with a higher handicap. As you think about the sport itself and you continuing to play, how are you balancing being a golfer plus being a creator plus being an entrepreneur as you're looking to build the community?
Say it is tough, just like everything else. Management of time is always key. I feel like it's funny because all of this is kind of centered around golf. And I mean, golf in itself is a great teacher where it teaches you patience, it teaches you how to be accountable, all these different things. So yeah, just with that background, I feel like one, focusing on my time. So like you said, creator, business, other stuff that I'm doing, being able to kind of bucket those things and put them in different, I'm super like focused, time focused, organization heavy. So that stuff
Hmm.
I like it. I like staying busy because it tells me that I got something to work on. So whether it be going to work on my chipping today after work or sitting down on my computer and typing out the newsletter that's coming out on Wednesday. So yeah, I mean it's difficult at times. I think I've set up a pretty good schedule for myself. I mean, I like to work on kind of this 10-hour rule where I almost could do anything for 10 hours a week. So whether I be working
Hmm.
on my newsletter for 10 hours, I have actually a practice, 8-week practice program that I give to my subscribers that it's 10 hours a week for 8 weeks. You do that and you'll lose 3 to 5 strokes off your game. So I would say putting things into little buckets and really focusing on that like 10 hours a week keeps me focused. And obviously I love what I'm doing, so it's not like it's torture, but yeah, it definitely helps keep me focused when it's easy to get distracted on anything these days for more
Yeah,
than like 60
absolutely.
seconds.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with everything going on in the world. As you think about kind of growing the audience, and I'm not a creator, I haven't built a community, but I would imagine that sometimes the content that you distribute hits different, whether that means that, a newsletter succeeds or has drastically higher metrics than another one. Have you found what that secret sauce is, or the equation of getting the right opens, getting the right clicks, getting the right engagement? Or is it continually a test and learn scenario, kind of like the game of golf?
Yeah, definitely more more towards the kind of testing, kind of every week,
Mm.
trying to get better every week. At the beginning, when I was kind of hesitant to hit publish to kind of put things out into the world, I was really focused on the metrics. So I would immediately hit publish, and then within 2 hours, I would look at, okay, what's the open rate? What's the click-through rate? How many unsubscribes did I get? Stuff like that. And it just kind of drives you crazy after a point where you're focused so much on the result. I mean, coming back to the golf part, if you're golfing and you've never broke 80 and you're coming down the last 3 holes and you're 6 over par, well, you're going to be like shitting yourself. Okay, let me just hit this on the right side. I mean, next thing you know, you finish with like 84. So same thing kind of applies to this where I'm really focused on now the process of, okay, I got my 10 hours a week. How can I maximize these 10 hours to uh, finish the process that I need to do to come to hit publish and then learn from that process, make it more efficient. So then maybe next week I'm only do it in 8 hours and then I can go do something else. So yeah, that's the more stuff that I'm kind of focused on now, consistency. So process, making that process more efficient and then being consistent week over week. So right now I think I'm at about 12 weeks in a row of posting. I mean, just really
Hmm.
focused on that, getting it out every week. I mean, no matter what kind of stuff's going on in my life, good or bad, just making sure I'm setting out those 10 hours the week prior to kind of get this done to the best of my ability. And I think I know after, I mean, it's been 6 months, after another 6 months, I'll see the results. I mean, I'm getting the verbal feedback from kind of people.
Hmm.
I mean, people were starting to reach out to me saying, "Hey, you're doing great. Keep it up, blah, blah, blah." And then people are all saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, this sucks. You should do this." So kind of sticking to my process and not really focused on the results as soon as I hit publish has really been the big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I had to almost stop myself from like, don't look at the Google Insights page or whatever it may be. But now I like have to get myself to actually go look at it, which is kind of funny because I'm so consumed with, okay, I got this out this week. Okay, now I'm ready for next week versus, okay,
Yeah.
let's go see how we did. So that's been kind of cool to kind of realize and get better at.
Yeah, I mean, I think from my standpoint, hearing that, it's a lot of like your shift or your focus has shifted from near term to long term, which I think is important as you look to build a community business, whatever. I also think the analogy of, if you're pushing to shoot a specific score, whether it's 80, 90, 100, whatever, and you start looking at the scorecard, inevitably it's going to get in your head, right? So similar to focusing on metrics week in and week out, I think taking a long-term view as you're looking to improve engagement, grow readership is the right approach. So kudos for you to be able to do that. As you think of building the community to be a business, a monetization, how are you currently monetizing your audience, and how do you plan to evolve that in the future?
Yeah, so the main ways I'll monetize are partners, sponsors. So already getting some traction. One of the things that I've been obviously with creators and businesses, you want to get money into the account as fast as possible just so you can scale, right? One of the things that I've been focusing on, kind of go back to that kind of whole Facebook social network movie, or I guess in real life, where they didn't take kind of money right away. I mean, they waited years. I mean, in the movie, like after they meet the Justin Timberlake character, and they're like,
Yeah.
he gives them some more kind of advice on like, hey, don't take the money, change the name, do all these little things to kind of maximize their long-term growth because he saw the future in it versus, hey, let's take some money now and make as much as we can. So eventually sponsors will be kind of the main ways I monetize. I mean, I want to focus on a
Hmm.
lot of local Arizona golf brands. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of them out there.
Yeah.
The second way would be kind of the paid memberships. So I talked about the events and eventually stuff like that that will be available to kind of for free subscribers to upgrade to that to get access to that. And then those are kind of be the two main ways I monetize. There will be some other ways, such as like obviously, so perfect example. Let's say you're a 16 handicap, you really like the content, you're nervous to kind of come out to an event because some of the players are a lot better.
Yeah.
So you say, "Hey Terrence, hey, I want to take some golf lessons to kind of improve my game and then hopefully work up to kind of getting to that level." There's another kind of opportunity for me by giving either online kind of lessons or if they live here in Phoenix, some in-person lessons. So one, helping them improve, and then two, helping them kind of reach that goal where they can feel comfortable coming out with some of the better players in the community. So yeah, I mean,
I love it.
eventually over time, I think there will be some other ways, such as I've been dabbling around. I'm a big kind of candle guy. I know you can't tell
Hmm.
this by looking at me, but I've been dabbling around with like creating some candles, just homemade stuff that kind of mimic some different aromas or scenes or scents kind of around this region. So yeah, that's another
Oh,
kind
cool.
of idea that I think wouldn't take up a huge time suck or like I don't have to, I don't know, buy a manufacturing plant just to kind of make some, it'll just kind of be a little passion project of I can kind of make these at home and sell them
Well,
online.
I think, one thing to just jump in and say is I think that's the beauty of building a community is you're able to, once you have that community and it's growing and they've kind of bought in on the attachment or association with you, I think you're able to then branch out into other things. And as long as it's providing value and interest to the members of the community, then I think it's spot on. One thing that you were saying earlier about the 10-hour a week course, I think it was an 8-week program you had said. To me, that's something that, as a really bad golfer, I'd be super interested in paying for and understanding is, what are the things over an 8-week period that I could be doing 10 hours a week in my golf game that, obviously is not going to be guaranteed to improve my score by 3 to 5
Hmm.
strokes, but, generally speaking, would move me in the right direction when it comes to my handicap. So we'll have to talk offline on getting into that program. But I think that's another way is developing programs like that to help golfers kind of achieve the goals that they want to. As you think about the Cactus Club and where it is in its life cycle, are there other communities or brands in the golf space that you're inspired by and are looking at as this can be like that in my own way?
Yeah, definitely. So, when I first started doing this, I reached out to a guy named Jared. I don't know if what's his last name, but he had a newsletter, still does, called Perfect Putt,
Oh yeah,
and it was basically about the golf industry, kind of more on the business side, how the golf
yeah. Jared
business is being.
Dorfler.
Yeah, exactly. So, I reached out to Jared, I want to say over a year ago, maybe a year and a half. And I liked what he was doing, and I was like, I want to do this, but I want to kind of do it in my own way and do it, create the Cactus Club. So I reached
Yeah,
out to him, and this is one of the things I love about social media or X, Twitter in particular, is I just DM'd him. I say, hey, man, you want to meet? Can you meet? I want to ask you a few questions about your newsletter, like your process and how you built it. And he was like, sure. We talked for an hour. And it's funny, I had no idea, and he didn't even mention at the time that he was going to start his Hannah putting company that
yeah,
has been super successful. So I've almost trying to take in his whole blueprint and create this newsletter community, but eventually, I mean, a product, because what he's done is almost create that distribution channel for his product prior to making it. So now he almost
yeah,
has all these leads for his product. So yeah, he was super helpful. I love what he's doing, super supportive of everything he's doing with his company and kind of growing the game. So yeah, he's a big one. Another good guy, Kyle, I can't blanking on the last name, but he writes a newsletter called Normal Sport,
okay.
and he's a bit more tenured, I would guess, in kind of like golf writing. I think he used to work for like either Golf Digest or one of the
Mm,
bigger golf kind of media companies, and then he branched off and started his whole community. And his model is almost exactly what I want to do with newsletter, online community, and the value he provides to his subscribers with like giveaways or the brand sponsors he has are like right on point. He's always talking about like recent trends. So if I can do something like that and almost make it my own where it's regional to kind of where I am, that was
yeah,
kind of the goal. And uh I still kind of look at those guys and kind of try to mimic their blueprint and see what they're doing and be like, crap, I could do this. This is genius type of deal. So
yeah.
yeah, and it's
Well,
go ahead.
fun fact. Sorry, yeah, fun fact. Jared was on the podcast last season. I think he was the first guest episode after our intro episode. But he's a good dude.
Nice.
Obviously, what he's building with his equipment brand is one thing, but to your point, he went about it the right way and building a community first, which he still services, right? So his newsletter still goes out, super interesting while he's building a brand. So he's definitely someone that I, as an entrepreneur in the golf space myself, admire as well, and it certainly is inspired by. As you think about, and I think that it's a great segue into kind of maybe the last portion of this conversation, but the evolution of the sport, right? You've been around it for, a while now. And as someone, and I mentioned in our original call, I grew up on a golf course, but didn't pick up the sticks until COVID. So I'm a late bloomer to the game, but certainly as a consumer of sport, I know the evolution has been quite fast and wide. As you think about building a community in an ever evolving sport, how does that evolution play into either the content you produce or how you're going about building this community? And as a golfer, as a very, very good and accomplished golfer, what do you think about the evolution of the game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously golf is in a great place right now. I think it's funny because I grew up in a time, even a place where golf was not that cool to play as a kid. I mean, I wouldn't say I got laughed at if I said I was gonna go play golf, but my friends weren't definitely like, yeah, I'm gonna come join you at the golf course. Like they're like, yeah, we'll go do something else. So it's great to kind of see the evolution of it become so-called cool. Especially when I talked about it with a lot of my friends who kind of went through competitive junior golf, went through either college golf or competed. And we look back now and we're like, damn, like Bryson's got millions of views on this YouTube channel. Would you have imagined this like 10 years ago? And we're all like, no, this
Right.
is crazy. So I think it's great. It's bringing in a lot more diversity as well. I feel like for me, growing up and then moving to Scottsdale, which is, I mean, mainly a white population.
Mhm.
And now, I mean, me going to junior golf and then college golf, I was always like the only black player at any tournament, like without fail.
Sure. Yeah.
So now that it's bringing in more diversity, I mean, you see it with one, the creators. I think eventually we'll see it at the top level where, I mean, we're already seeing a lot more like people of color playing at the professional level. So this in itself is kind of attracting more people because then, I mean, young little kind of Mexican girl who grows up in wherever can see, I mean, someone that she looks up to that looks like her on the LPGA tour or a creator playing in the Creator Classic, and she's like, okay, now I want to
Yeah.
go play golf. So I think all that evolution has been great. It has been easy. First thing comes to mind is kind of the live versus PJ stuff. I mean, I think that stuff
Hmm.
is good and bad. I think in every kind of industry, competition is always going to drive greatness. I mean, I think of kind of
Hmm.
Apple and Google. I mean, if one of them didn't exist or a Microsoft, like the others would not be as good of companies. Like all three of them kind of drive each other to be good. So in that sense, I think it's good for the game, for the growth. It's bringing more people. Even going back, I mean, I watch all different sports. So like I think of basketball when basketball had like the ABA and NBA, and then they competed and then eventually they merged and then basketball kind of became this huge global thing. So yeah, I kind of see the same thing happening in golf. I don't think it's going to work out the same. There's obviously different dynamics, but I think one of the reasons why I felt now was a time to start something like the Cactus Club is because of all this growth. And in the golf industry, we talk about a lot of there's a huge growth in the game, growing kind of 30% over the last 5 years. But how do we keep these people playing? Or is there fundamentally kind of structure set up to keep these players engaged so they don't go kind of do something else? Because there's always easy
Yeah.
ways to find different things to do. So yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons I felt like now is a good time. Golf is in a boom, and to try to kind of capitalize on that and focus on engaging these golfers and keep them in the game and giving them a community where they
Yeah.
can connect.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think it's also, you mentioned that basketball became a global sport. Golf, you could argue, is a global sport, but I love the comparison of the NBA and the ABA to Live and PGA. But as we think of golf globally and we look at what you're building in Arizona, I think it's an interesting dynamic between global and local. And what you're building is very focused in the Arizona area, although much of the content is relevant to people all over the world. Talk a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up with a rapid fire question just to give the audience a sense of you as a person. But talk a little bit about your approach from focusing on local yet reaching global.
Yeah, so a big part of what I'm doing is I felt like national media brands, like, I mean, I love the Golf Digest, the Golf Magazine, and all these brands, but they're focusing on kind of at a bigger scale. So I wanted to focus on at a micro level because that's where the engagement, that's where the magic happens, in my opinion. And that's where there is a huge gap in the market because honestly, after a lot of my research, there aren't a lot of like brands or media companies like this. Um, Definitely not in Arizona and where I'm at, which is crazy because it's such a mecca for golf.
Yeah.
So my guess is that if Arizona's like this, then a lot of other kind of largely populated golf meccas are kind of the same. So, sorry, I got sidetracked. Go back. What was the second part of that question?
Just about, I mean, I think you nailed it in terms of why you're focusing on Arizona, but being able to reach like more locales. And I think that the idea really is about how, starting off local, but being able to reach global.
Yes.
And from my perspective, a lot of the content that you push out is relevant outside of Arizona, but I do love how you're focused on your local network or your local community because it's who you can impact, not just digitally, but also in real life, whether you see them at a course, whether you do a meetup with them at a course. So it's just the dynamic between local and global.
Yeah, and I mean, the people that I've interacted with, and I've had a couple kind of meetups so far, they're all, I mean, they just love it. They're like, I don't know why something doesn't exist like this, or like this shouldn't be that difficult to create because golfers are always looking for. One of the great things about golf is that you get to kind of network. I can
Yeah.
have my group of friends, but hey, I want to go play with this new group and meet this whole new group of friends next week. So this is kind of giving people the ability to do that. And who knows? I mean, my plan right now is to start here in Arizona, but I mean, I have this crazy dream of having this type of business in, I mean, maybe five other locations in the country, and then combining it into maybe this whole national thing. So yeah, that's kind of big dreams. But yeah, I definitely think it's possible, and especially with the growth in the game. So to kind of go back on that growth question, the growth in the game, you got a lot of people playing it, but what's also grown is these kind of companies using golf as their vertical. So companies that never thought about, like, let's say apparel brand, legacy apparel brand that's been around for 50 years. Okay, now all of a sudden they're doing a summer golf drop where they're not even a golf brand
Mm,
because they know that
yeah.
it's such a boom. And one, golfers are usually high net worth, so they're spending a lot of money.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's perfect for any kind of business, especially if it's direct to consumer. So yeah, stuff like that. Businesses are flooding in. These businesses that are not necessarily in the golf industry, I mean, they need help or they want help with their branding to reach these players. So that's kind of another reason kind of why I'm there because we're all kind of part of this whole ecosystem, and the more that it grows, I mean, it's like a flywheel. The more it grows, the more people, businesses kind of get drawn in, and then it goes kind of around and around.
Yeah, I think you're spot on in the flywheel effect, and I think you have a big part in that, certainly in the Arizona area, but also as well through the digital channels you're on. As mentioned, that's how I found you, and I continue to appreciate the content you push out, and very much appreciate your time on the podcast. Before I let you jump, would love to give the audience a deeper sense into who you are as a person. So, quick rapid fire round of questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's start with your favorite golf course you've ever played.
Uh, I'm gonna go with Chambers Bay in Washington State, just
What
south of
what'd you shoot?
just south of Seattle. Um, so I played in the US AM there in 2010, and I shot 76. Uh,
Okay,
Started with four bogeys, but ended with a 76. So was pretty
that's not
proud of
bad.
that. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what's your best score?
62. I've shot 62 three times.
God. Okay. Favorite drink and snack while playing.
I am a vitamin water guy, so I would say
Mm-hmm.
vitamin water and snack. It's either some trail mix or what are I have these chomps. They kind of look like the Slim Jim,
Okay. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
healthier for you. Yeah, so either of those, I just throw a couple of those in if it's not too hot and get some protein.
Chomps is a good brand. Okay, dream golf collaboration, and let's leverage the Cactus Club. Who would you want to collab with as founder of the Cactus Club?
I'm a huge lifelong ping guy, so ping would be great, especially since they're in Arizona. And I honestly just 2 weeks ago wrote a newsletter on kind of the history of ping. So either ping and I'm a big Lululemon guy. That's a good one
Okay.
I would want as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hopefully someone from Ping and Lululemon is listening
Yeah.
and will reach out. Kind of last rapid fire question, but I think ultimately maybe the most important for my audience. What's the most important thing golf taught you about building a community?
Taught me about building I would say, that's a good question. I would say remember. So one of the things that I like to focus on, especially when I was competing and maybe not playing good, is why do I play? So
Mm,
it's like you're there, you're pissed off, and then I remind myself, okay, why do I play the game? And I think those same things apply to kind of building a community. I play it because the challenge, the exercise, I mean, whatever they may be, that also transfers to the community as well. I mean, wrapping all that same stuff into the same answer, but getting the engagement from the network of people who kind of love doing the same things that you love doing.
yeah, that's awesome. I think it's really about that long-term approach or long-term vision that should keep all entrepreneurs, whether they're building brands, communities, services, whatever. Well, Terrence, I've really appreciated the conversation. Before we actually hang up, tell the audience where they could find you on social, how they can subscribe to the Cactus Club.
Yeah, so find us on socials. It's at the Cactus Club AZ, and the website is thecactusclubaz.com. Free to subscribe, so go ahead and subscribe.
Awesome. And your Twitter account or profile, just because you are a good follow.
Yeah, Twitter is just my name, so at Terence Daniels, TERENC.
Awesome. Well, once again, appreciate the time and look forward to continuing to follow along your journey.
Awesome, thanks for having me.
Take care, Terrence.